Hello, my name is Charles Webster Baer, and I am in Tianjin, China, and today is January 26, 2015. And today I want to talk about the early history of global internet government. Global internet government, aka GIG, aka www.gig15.com, is my website, GIG, Global Internet Government, and I'm going to talk about the beginnings of GIG. Now, in 1996, I was living in Santa Fe, New Mexico, and I came up with something called IPO, International Political Organization. And this was the early stages of GIG, Global Internet Government. And this was published by Snowboarder magazine. And then I moved to Portland, Oregon, and then I created GIG in the year 2000, and GIG was then published by Trans World Surf magazine and Surfers Journal magazine and Surfing magazine and Trans World Snowboarding magazine. And I created GIG in the spring of the year 2000 in Portland, Oregon. And later that year, on September 12th of the year 2000, I made up a flyer about GIG. And this is the flyer. And I made hundreds of these, maybe 1,000. And I sent them off to the American surf media and the American snowboard media to tell them what GIG was and to publish GIG. And I made this in the year 2000. GIG wasn't even a year old. So this really is one of the earliest ancient historical transcripts of early GIG in existence. And so I'm going to read it to you word for word so you can better understand what GIG was like in the very beginning, when it was born, when it was only a couple months old. This talks about GIG. It also talks about IPO, which I created in 1996, International Political Organization, which was the blueprint for GIG. So let's read this thing here, shall we? It's 10 a.m. on September 12, 2000 in Portland, Oregon. I'm honored and humbled by the opportunity to attempt to explain my idea for a website to my fellow Americans. I call it GIG, Global Internet Government. GIG will be a website that will update, simplify, and coordinate the policy of the United Nations, the International Monetary Fund, and the U.S. Navy into one current policy that everyone can access and understand immediately. The goal of GIG will be to use common sense and logic to convince humans that they need to stop reproducing for a few decades. This is because my silly species is on a suicidal course. If the number of humans keeps going up, then the number of planets will keep going down. Soon there will be no more oxygen, and we will all suffocate. then that really gets my panties in a bunch. It is probably too late to save the planet, but I will give a shot anyway because that's just the kind of guy I am. My name is Charles Webster Baer. The key to gig is that I will have no money. I will be a multi-trillionaire, but that's not the point. Gig will have no money. Gig will provide only information and organization. Gig, money corrupts and distorts, not to mention distracts. Gig is pure. Gig will stay pure. That's because I created Gig to save the planet. I did not create Gig to save people. I did not create Gig to feed the starving. I did not create Gig to educate the children. I did not create Gig to secure the future of the human race. One thing I can promise is that it will not be pretty. Fortunately, I prefer it that way. Gig will have levels and stages. Levels will be a scale, A through Z, on how to judge every country's level of freedom, success, and population reduction, implementation, debt payment, military and economic stability, etc. Stages will be scale 1 through 9 of currency countdown. There will come a point when billions of my closest friends will decide they are not going to get something to eat. When this happens to the tribe of the North, white people will be forced to say, okay, here's some food. That will be stage 1, communism, free food for everyone. When that happens, the stages begin. Gig must be in place so that all people will be on the same page. Stage 1 should occur around 2022. Well, that's good. Nations will receive free food only if they unconditionally accept Gig policy. Stage 9, long after my ashes have been sprinkled over the West Miami Mountains, will be the death of Gig. Gig is sovereign, independent, above everyone, untouchable, and has my eyes. It's tough to relate to Gig, so let's talk about IPO. IPO is the International Political Organization. I created IPO in 1996. IPO is a political party for the world. It combines the best aspects of the right, less government, less taxes, less bureaucracy, tough on crime, etc., with the best aspects of the left: freedom, no censorship, legalized drugs, abortion, suicide, no school prayer, etc. IPO will sponsor PEA, Pacific Economic Alliance. PEA will sponsor a common currency for Japan, Australia, New Zealand, Chile, USA, and Canada. IPO, like Gig, will have no cash. IPO will provide only information and organization. IPO is grassroots. IPO is something everyone can get involved in. IPO is something that will change with polls and time. Gig is a law. Gig is a nice way to save the planet. Gig is plan A. Plan B is famine, war, disease, chaos, and stuff. Gig will happen. The only question is, will it happen soon enough? There are too many people on the planet. Women need to stop having babies now. I hold this truth to be self-evident. It's obvious. Humans don't have the right to destroy the planet. Gig will happen. We have discussed my job. Now let's discuss your job. You are the medium of the needs to provide the American people with the information, relevant information, important information, serious information. It's your job to tell the Americans about Gig. Let people decide. Show your readers they respect their intelligence. Allow America to tell you if Gig is cool or Gig sucks. Kick the responsibility down to the people where it all belongs in the first place. I've been working on this for 15 years and I've perfected. Gig is solid. Gig is airtight. Gig is all me. Tell everyone everywhere to send me their 2 cents. I need to get this shit off the ground. Charles Baer, 1631 Northeast Broadway, number 415. That's a P.O. box. Portland, Oregon, 972321425. And then my phone number, 503-284-0103. This paper is a historical document. Information is not property. The new president of the USA needs to address all these issues before he moves into the White House. Entertainment is part of the last millennium. It's good in the hood, and then I signed it. So, that's what Gig was when I created it. Now, it's changed and evolved and gotten better and improved, but that's the beginning of global internet government right there. That's what it was when it was born. But there's a lot of stuff in that that's, I mean, I got it right the first time, there's a lot of stuff. Most of this is the core of Gig. So, I mean, I got it right the first time. Most of the essential Gig stuff is right in here. So, Gig was born perfect and then got better. So, that's the ancient historical Gig text. My name is Charles Baer. Today is January 26, 2015. I'm in Tianjin, China, and global internet government is gig15.com. And Rock on.